Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Indy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got
Another
it!
one! Another one! Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Worked out by Burke. Bounces into Cody. Puts it up. Scores!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Good Tuesday, everybody. Welcome aboard. Happy to have you. Happy to be here. Kevin Brockway from CNHI with us as always. How are you, sir?
Good. Countdown to Big Ten Media Days coming up. A couple of days. Thursday. Indiana will be going on Friday. Kind of a big weekend.
Yeah, a lot going on. There are basketball events going on in Indianapolis, a couple, and you've got an announcement coming today. I think it's today that's expected to go Indiana. Is that today that kid from Miami? But the announcement coming Thursday is the big one. Joe Strickland is going to make his announcement on Thursday, which to me that knocks nothing. I don't know what it says. But I think the fact that Big Ten Media Days are going on, that's no accident. Tom Allen is speaking on Thursday, right?
No, he's speaking on Friday.
Okay, that's right. He's speaking on Friday. Now, Jeff Brom is speaking on Thursday.
No, he's speaking on Friday too. They're both speaking on Friday. They're
That's
doing
right.
them both
They are
on Friday.
the same day. I don't have the thing pulled up in front of me. I was trying to go by memory, but yeah. So that will give one of those coaches something to beam about.
Course, yeah.
If it was going to be Stanford, I don't think he would do it on that Thursday. Just thinking out loud here. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that he's a kid from Indianapolis, so I think staying home could be really a priority for him, and we'll see where it turns out. You know, it's kind of funny when you look at these commitments and how this 2022 class is going, for sure. But does he, which place does he feel like maybe he can get playing time? I think that's going to be an interesting, is Purdue in more dire straits on the defensive line than Indiana is? Where does he feel like he can make an impact immediately? I think, sometimes with the 4 and the 5 stars, that factors into it as well.
Yeah, but you want to go where you can get moved to that next level, and I think that Indiana's just seeming like that place now. It's all guesswork. Just going to wait and find out. We'll find out on Thursday. So that takes care of that. In Major League Baseball, there was a travesty last night of just epic proportions. 15-11. What a ridiculous
the whole game. Did you
watch?
What
a ridiculous, stupid score.
Well,
15-11.
Did you? The Mets were just kicking the ball around that whole first couple of innings and 4 errors, and I thought they were dead and buried when they were down 7-3, and they came back, and then the Mets thought they had the game won, and Diaz blows a save, and then you go to the 10th inning and get this baby face kid pitching with first and second, and Eugenio Suarez grounds into a double play, and that gives you life. And Mets hit 7 home runs. It was just. The pitching is just for both teams right now. I think it's kind of where you are. I think one of the commentators said an interesting point about, coming off the 70-game season, you're seeing a lot of arm injuries. You're seeing a lot of player injuries, right? Castellanos being out. And, of course, the Mets, Lindor. So it's, this is kind of like the walking wounded here, and we're only in July. So it's only going to get – I think the quality of baseball is only going to get worse from here to the end of the season.
Yeah, the Reds they've had 3 notable crashes like that, and they gave up a 5-0 game lead to Kansas City in the midst of a great streak that they won like 4 out of 5, I think. And then they did it again. But this is just like the nemesis, man.
Well, the Mets love hitting at Great American Ballpark. I mean,
who doesn't?
I mean, that ball just jumps out of that ballpark, and it's amazing. Just how the balls carry there. I mean, you really have to. I think if you're a pitcher, you got to have a pretty thick skin there. It's become the new launching pad, right? Atlanta Fulton County Stadium and Coors Field and all that. It's just like one of those places where, you get the ball in the air there, and it just, especially this time of year, it just travels.
Last week, the Reds were 8-2 over their previous 10 games. We're only 4 games back of the Brewers. You look down there now, 4-6, 7.5 games back. Man,
it can change in a week, though. That's the crazy thing about baseball. It's just it's such a marathon. You gotta ride it out. And I think Edwin Diaz for the Mets is 19 for his first 20 in save opportunities, and he blows his last 3 saves. So there are peaks and valleys with everything and every team, I think, and it makes it very frustrating.
I don't know if the All-Star break has something to do with this, but look at this. Across the National League, I'm going to go from the bottom up, the National League West, in their last 10 games for all of these teams. The Diamondbacks, Rockies, Padres, and Dodgers, all 5-5, and the division-leading Giants were 6-4, 1 game better. In the Central, 5-5, 4-6, 6-4, 4-6, 5-5. And then up in the NL East, the Marlins just suck at 3-7. The Nationals at 3-7, but then 5-5, 7-3, 5-5. The National League East it was kind of all over the place, 3-7s and some 7 and a 7-3. But those other 2 divisions were all dead, broke even.
Yeah, no, I mean it's that time of year where I think that day in and day out, you just don't know, and with all the injuries and the lack of pitching right now. And the spider tack, I mean, I'm watching Seth Lugo last night for the Mets, and this guy normally has, a biting spin rate curveball, and he hung a curveball to Winker, who tied the game or gave the Reds the lead at that point, 8-7. I just think that the pendulum has really shifted in the other direction. Whereas early in the season you were seeing no hitters left and right, but I think cracking down the sticky substance, plus it getting a little warmer, hitters are more locked in. Now you're seeing a lot of offense.
Yep, and looking forward to it. And we'll talk more about this later. But there's all the commitment of Joe Strickland. I mentioned that just a little bit ago coming. Yeah, we played nice. About as nice as I'm going to play with him, Pete. Wyatt says the head of the Olympic Committee just said they haven't ruled out a late cancellation if the spread gets much worse. You know what that and we'll talk more about this with Mike DeCourcy, but Cole Hocker saw in the Star today. He's one of the athletes competing non-vaccinated. I don't know. You can't make anybody do anything, but you're going into a pit of people that are coming from around the world, all congregating in a single place that has done a horrific job of corralling the coronavirus. I mean, that just sounds like a recipe for absolute disaster to me.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the Japanese emperor warned like 2 or 3, I think it was weeks ago, that this could happen, and was not a fan of playing the games or bringing the games here to his country. But this is where we are now, and I think that it's definitely going to be it'll be interesting to see if they can get through it, if they can push through and quarantine the people that need to be quarantined. I mean, the Delta variant, I mean, even in this country, in the United States, I mean, it's doubled in the last 2 or 3 days. So we're not in the woods here yet either, trust me, because of some states aren't getting vaccinated. I think in Indiana we're in pretty good shape, but I wouldn't want to be going to some of those southern states like Arkansas and Florida right now. They're having all sorts of problems again.
Yeah, Jennifer says she's willing to bet the Olympics will be canceled. It's a complete clown show. I definitely agree with that second part. It has been such, but that just again it boggles my mind when you have all this time, when you've already been canceled once, so you're getting a do-over. You're getting a do-over with all the information that was there, all the preparation that could have been done. Didn't happen. I'll
tell you what, it makes, because the NCAA takes a lot of heat, and rightfully so, and it's taking a lot of heat now with obviously the amateurism rules basically being shot down by a Supreme Court justice. But it makes what they did in March during the NCAA tournament. They definitely deserve a pat on the back for that, for getting that, bringing in teams all around the country, for having the precautions in place, for having the bubbles in place. Indianapolis and the NCAA did a really terrific job putting on a major sporting event, with really minimal problems. But now, you're thinking about the Olympics now, and you're seeing the exact opposite.
Doug did not recognize me without the visor. Threw that on. Just that reminds me, I don't have the light on. But thank you, Doug. Doug, you can follow us at YouTube as well. Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Brian says hello. His Cardinals got the Cubs last night. I didn't. Where there? That's like the two stepchildren fighting right now. They're down there below fighting.
Yeah, Cardinals are starting to play a little better baseball, though. You know what I mean? They just don't have enough pitching. I think that's going to be one of the keys.
Well, pitching is the key to everything. Let's see. RBO Sprint says Bezos is getting ready to launch into space. No returns allowed. I missed that story. What happened? Is there a story with that? More to what?
Maybe he's making fun of Amazon because Bezos owns Amazon. I think that might be a joke.
I didn't know. Because he may be jumping into the space deal, like with Virgin and all those guys.
Yeah, well, you see all those Amazon trucks around; they're everywhere now. So Bezos is taking over the world, and now he's ready to take over space.
Well, we'll see, man. They're every place else. We've got to take a break. We've got the great Mike DeCourcy with us today, Chronic Hoosier, and I think we got Maurice Creek on the program today as the TBT is underway.
I saw that, yeah. I did a story on Maurice last week. Nice kid.
He's a Mr. TBT, man. But we'll be back with all that right here and more. Indiana Sports Beat.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, Hoosier fans, whether you're looking for
Yeah, that's going to be a pain with Indiana and Purdue going the same day. For me.
Not for me. No, I was going to say, not for me, it won't.
Yeah, because Kokomo's going to want a Purdue story.
Kokomo and
Logansport.
Kokomo and Logansport. Dick Vitale talking about Arsenio Hall and LeBron James. Yeah,
what did he say?
Mo Creek. Retweeting us. Love it.
Oh, sweet. He retweeted the show promo.
Yep.
Good stuff.
If you can only see.
I should throw that YouTube thing on there, shouldn't I?
Did you stay up to watch that whole Mets game or no?
No. What should I throw on here, John? What link?
Put subscribe to, and then you say youtube.com/ let me go to your site real quick.
Just the main. I know the main one.
Yeah, just that one. Subscribe to, and then put your link or whatever it is.
HTTPS. Boom.
Here's Mike DeCourcy.
Hello, sir.
Hey, Jim, what's going on?
Just pounding away, brother. How's your week been?
Busy.
That is good, and I understand because I'm like, golly, month is just busy all of a sudden. It's exactly how I've described it.
Did you, Mike? Did you stay up all night to watch that Reds game?
You know, I was tired, and I have a really long day in the next long 2 days coming, and against my better judgment, I stayed up to the bottom of the ninth, and when they tied it, I said, okay, I'll give it the 10th, and then when Suarez hit into a double play, and then
All right, we got 5 seconds coming back.
well, that was good.
Professionals in the art of food and drink. This segment is brought to you by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back. I hope you're having a great start to your week here on this Tuesday. We are, because we got Mike DeCourcy with us now. Mike, how are you, sir?
I am well, Jim. How are you? Kevin, good to see you.
No, great. Kevin's been talking too much already over this Mets crap last night. Who gives up 5 runs in the 11th?
Oh,
man,
if there's
the Reds
anybody out there that can do
the
that.
Reds do.
Absolutely.
Man, it makes me. I told him. I said, there's 3 games. They're just ticking me off right now. The 5-0 loss that they led at Kansas City and lost. There was another one that they gave up big, and then this one. I'm like, man, those just stick to me. I hate those. And
well, every one of the 5 games since the All-Star break ended has been an absolute disaster. I mean, with the exception of Sunday when they just stunk it up from the beginning, the bullpen has just been absolutely dissolving, and no one seems to be willing to do anything about it. And the team themselves has not played great. The 8, so to speak, and the starting pitchers, they've not been great, but the bullpen has been a colossal disaster. And I as much as I'm critical of Bell as a manager, at a certain point, I mean, what can you do? I mean, everybody you throw out there is giving up gopher balls. So there, at a certain point, there's not much more that you can do.
how many home runs you say, Kevin? 7?
7 home runs, yeah. Yeah.
Gee whiz. It's like batting practice, man. It's like the home run derby. But yeah, it's like the Reds in the second half. It's like, come on, man. Don't just start off immediately after the All-Star game and fade on me. But I just hope that they have the ability to not do the small market Reds thing and just fade in the second half and not do anything and then start trading everybody again, which seems like every time I turn around, that's the mantra of the Reds.
Well, I mean, that seems to be the direction they're headed now. I mean, coming out of the All-Star break at 4 games out of first place, there was such great hope that this could be a real race. And you had those 3 games at home, and you had those 3 games at home to start the second half. And now after the first 5 games of the second half, you're now 7.5 games out. It's a colossal disappointment. And can you close that? Yeah. I mean, I remember in 1978, the Pittsburgh Pirates were 11 games out in August. And I remember the baseball writer, the late Charlie Feeney, just a wonderful man, wrote that it was over. And the Pirates ended up not losing that division until the penultimate day of the season. So, you can come back from 7.5, but it's a lot harder than it would have been to come back from 4.
The Olympics are, I'm not going to say they're on the verge of becoming a mess, but they're on the verge of being on the verge of becoming a mess, maybe. I just read about Cole Hawker because I was wondering, this was yesterday, I was asking this question. Who are the athletes not vaccinated? What's going on? Well, find out Cole Hawker, one, not vaccinated, said he had COVID once, didn't affect him, but it's not about affecting him. If he gets it again, he's not going to be able to compete.
Right. I mean,
he's in 3 events.
It's inexplicable why any athlete who has the ability, who has the access. Now, that's not true in every country or may not be true in every country, the United States, the access has been basically universal. If you want to be vaccinated, you can be vaccinated. If you're an athlete headed to Tokyo and you did not get vaccinated, now being vaccinated is not a guarantee that you will never test positive, but it certainly helps a great deal. And if you didn't get vaccinated and are headed to Tokyo, it's a foolish decision because a simple crossing the paths with someone who has the virus, which is more prevalent in various parts, various circumstances than others, you could be out and you would never get the chance to swim or run or whatever. And I think that's just unbelievable that anyone would make that decision. I don't want anyone to wind up getting it, but I will say this, we went through the whole thing last year. Anytime somebody tested positive and it impacted a game or whatever, oh, this is awful, but we made it. I mean, we finished the World Series, we finished the Super Bowl, we finished the NCAA tournament. I never bought into that narrative that this is a disaster or this is look, it's a challenge and it's an obstacle, and you can either not do it or you can deal with the obstacles. And obviously you don't want anyone to get seriously ill, but again, there's the difference between competing and not competing is not the difference between getting it and not getting it. You can get it, as we've seen here in the United States. You can get it going to the grocery store or going to a restaurant or just, or seeing your family or whatever. You don't know how you're going to get it. So not competing, not contesting the Olympics isn't the answer to not spreading the virus. That's not the answer. That doesn't guarantee that any of those athletes would not encounter the virus. So I don't buy the idea that they shouldn't be doing this or that because someone tested positive, it's proof that it should never have happened, any of that stuff.
I do think we're learning a lot more about the virus too and how to treat it. And it's not necessarily the same life-threatening kind of sentence, and people that are vaccinated, can avoid hospitalization. So I think there's a lot different dynamic now than 18 months ago. And, who knows, like the average person isn't getting tested every day like these athletes are. Who knows, any one of us could have had it even when we were vaccinated and not know about it.
I think that's true. Absolutely. That's an excellent point, Kevin. For the sake of keeping the spread from continuing or being exacerbated, they test these athletes on a fairly regular basis. But I've been vaccinated, fully vaccinated, I believe, since the second week of April. I can't be sure. I don't think I have had it because I haven't even felt, anything less than great, in that entire time. But it's not to say that it's not possible that I could have had it and just not known about it, because the one thing that the vaccine companies have said is that it's not fully, it's not a guarantee. It's not a full guarantee that you won't get it, although it certainly does protect against it. But if you do, you will not result in a severe illness or hospitalization or death. And that's so that, there are athletes out there who are testing positive who don't even feel bad. Or feel like they might just have allergies or something, a cough or whatever. I think that it's people are being too quick to dismiss the idea that these Olympics are, or to present the idea that these Olympics are a disaster waiting to happen because X number of athletes might test positive.
Well, I don't think they should be. It should be the case. I think that two things should have happened. These athletes should be getting vaccinated, like you said.
Absolutely.
A, B, and C. Just get the freaking vaccination. I mean, how would you not want to be vaccinated when you're going into? It's like you're going into a petri dish. I mean, you're going into a petri dish of people, and then on top of it, the Japanese, they have to take a little hit here. I mean, it was already canceled once, so now you've got another year to prepare for this. And I know there's only so much you can do. And these athletes are not helping that situation at all. And I don't know how much that's making it worse for them, but I don't know how well prepared they were in their own country, at least around the Olympic facilities and whatnot. But yeah, you talk about the ease of getting a vaccination. I'm still getting phone calls and texts now begging me to come get. I'm like, I'm vaccinated. I've been vaccinated for 2 months, man. And they're begging me to come in. And I'm like going, dude, I've already got it. So, yeah, they're begging people to get vaccinated. So it's the availability, and especially for an Olympic athlete, dude, it's there. They have it for you. To me, it's just inexplicable because just because he doesn't have any symptoms, but what about him giving it to someone else? And even if he does get it, again, he can't compete, and then he can knock out the entire damn team for all that matter.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly surprised that the USOC did not say, okay, if you're getting on the plane, you're getting on with a couple of shots in your arm. I mean, when I went to Brazil in 2014 for the World Cup, I had to get shots. It was not required, but it was highly recommended that I get.
Well, that's just because you couldn't get the water there.
That's the same concept. I mean,
absolutely.
They don't, I believe one of the, I don't remember all the shots I got, but I remember one was for Hep B because I had to get a second one to assure that it was a fully official or whatever. But you had to get those. You were either, I don't remember if I was required, but it's strongly encouraged that you get these shots. And so I don't understand why the USOC didn't do that. Again, for that simple reason that you standing here and other swimmers standing there, or you standing here and other runners standing there, or you as the gymnastics, there are only 9 members of the women's gymnastics team, I think, give or take. And they already had an alternate test positive. And so, again, we don't know whether anybody is or is not vaccinated. There's unless they bring out the card and show it to us, we don't know. But it's if you aren't vaccinated and you test positive, you're putting at risk all the other members of your team. And I can't understand that at all. I can't understand why. It's happening in like the SEC yesterday. Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, pointed out, I think they have, out of 14 teams, they have 6 that have met the standard, the vaccination standard by which you don't have to go through the extraordinary protocols in testing. I think it's 80%. I think that's the number. And so they had 6 out of 14 so far. At the NFL, there are very few teams that are at that standard, that are at the highest standard. I saw a report on Channel 13 here in Indy last week that the Colts are around 50%. At what they're now saying if you have a game that you can't play in college football, if you have a game that you can't play because of COVID,
no more makeups.
No more makeups. It's a forfeit. At what point does someone say, "Hey, wait a second, that's $2 million"? If we don't play a home game, that's $2 million. You're getting the shot. At what point does some coach say, "Hey, that could be the difference between me going, our team going 11-0 or 10-1 or 12-0 or 11-1 and making the playoff or not making the playoffs"?
Oh, how much money would that cost Penn State or Michigan or a Tennessee if they had to cancel a game? That's way more than $2 million.
There's the money. There's
TV obligations.
Yeah, exactly. There's the competitive aspect of it that you would get a loss that you don't necessarily need to take. I mean, at some point, someone's got to prevail upon the athletes of what is at risk. And I don't know who necessarily that has to be: athletic director, coach, whoever. But it's surprising to me that coaches who are so oriented toward what you eat. And remember a few years ago, and I don't think he's a head coach anymore, but the one coach who was at Texas who had a chart on the wall how hydrated you were when you urinated. And based on the color of your urine, you weren't drinking enough water, and therefore you were too selfish as a team member. They can do all that, but they can't make sure that their players are vaccinated against the pandemic. That's surprising to me.
Yeah, and then so now, Kevin, what do? You have these guys, and I'm not talking about the Olympics anymore. I'm talking about everything, college sports. I wonder what it is in the Big Ten. I wonder if it will be higher or lower, since you would think the SEC being one of those schools that or leagues that were the first to want to play, but yet that the numbers aren't showing that as far as putting yourself in a position to not be knocked out.
And don't forget, when you look at like I mentioned before, when you look at the geography of the situation in America right now, where are the states that are least vaccinated? The South, the Southeast, Florida, Arkansas. Here's something. So I think in a way, Indiana's in good shape just because, Indiana's not great. They're about 49, 50%. Here's something else interesting too, and I looked this up, was the federal judge upholds Indiana University's COVID-19 vaccination requirements. So Indiana, the students at IU, including the football players, are going to have to get vaccinated to go back to school. So I think Indiana will be in good shape from that standpoint. In terms of Tom Allen has said, personal choice, but I think that you're going to see a high percentage of Indiana students get vaccinated, because if they're not vaccinated, they're not going to be able to enroll in school. They won't be eligible.
Yeah, we should find out about the Big Ten and its approach on Thursday. Commissioner Kevin Warren speaks to the media. I imagine Kevin will be there at Big Ten Media Day. I know I will.
I will. We'll be broadcasting from there.
Yeah. Oh, great. Well, that's a circumstance where we'll find out what the Big Ten's approach will be. Big 12's already said no forfeits. SEC followed up yesterday, same thing. I would suspect, given that circumstance, that we'll see the Big Ten do the same, but we won't know until Thursday at Big Ten Football Media Day. But it'll be nice to get to that and be able to talk about football, be able to talk about sports, and be able to do that with people who are we're sort of back in the game, so to speak. Last year was a tough year for everybody. Basketball, football, that was always hanging over. And although it's hanging over to an extent now, I think we're more back toward normality in the sports that we follow than we've been in a long time.
Yeah, and I'm curious I wonder what the vaccination numbers are for Indiana's football team, because you look at that as a team that they're looking for more. They're wanting to do then you got to have everybody. So I wonder, just kind of curious on what those numbers are, because Indiana seems to be more bought in to their coach, more bought into the program than some others. So I'm not going to be surprised at all if Indiana has a higher vaccination rate than most teams.
Well, with the mandate from IU,
there's that. Yeah,
it's going to be darn close to 100%.
If you want to play, yeah.
If you want to go to history class,
yeah, exactly.
The only exceptions, I think, to IU's rule are
religious or medical,
or a very rare medical exemption. Yeah. And no, I tell you, almost certainly no Indiana football player will meet the medical exception. Because that's for very severe illnesses that would not permit you to be a football player. So I would think they'll be extremely close to 100%, and good for them. Good for IU. I'm a fan of what they're doing. I really am.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any Amish players, so they might be good on that front too. So, no, just kidding. But yeah, so we'll see. But I think that will work out to their advantage. Let's see what else is going on with you, Mike.
Well, we got NBA Finals Game 6 tonight. I wrote a piece just published this morning about Chris Paul, and those of us who have been covering these games for a while now, you don't have to be in it for 40 years like me, but if you've been in it for 15 or 16, you recall the Chris Paul, Julius Hodge episode from 2005. I know Julius recalls it because after what happened on Saturday night, Julius was on Twitter saying, this guy just can't help himself. In 2005, last day of the regular season, a Sunday night game, Wake is playing NC State. And Wake, early in the game, they tussle for a rebound. Can't remember who got the rebound, but Chris turned and struck Julius below the belt, if you know what I mean. And nothing at the time, I believe, was called. They weren't using replay as much then, but subsequent to that, it was an obvious circumstance and there was a lot of controversy. So Wake Forest took the action of suspending Chris for one game, which was an ACC tournament game. If they hadn't, probably the ACC would have, but they did. So they go in the ACC tournament. I think they played Florida. No, they played NC State, a rematch. And Chris was out. So NC State wins. So Wake goes from potential ACC tournament champion to, first, quarterfinal elimination. So they drop from a 1 seed to a 2 seed. They end up playing a really good West Virginia team in the second round, as opposed to a team they probably would have handled. They got beat in double overtime. All because he did what he did. I mean, not all, you can trace it to that. I mean, there are other circumstances, but it all traces back to Chris getting himself suspended for that game. So it was a bad episode, but if he'd learned from it, okay. But you've watched Chris Paul's NBA career. Has he learned from it? Well, Saturday night, Bucks are up by a point. Suns have the ball, 13 and a half seconds left. Great steal by Drew Holiday, steals it off of Devin Booker, brings the ball down. Instead of waiting to get fouled, he decides that with Giannis flying above the rim, you might as well go ahead and take those 2 points rather than have to make the 2 free throws. Chris Paul has zero chance of stopping Giannis from scoring that basket. I mean, unless he's wearing a jetpack, he is not stopping. But he goes ahead and tries to push Giannis anyway. Giannis flushes it. And so now, instead of taking out the ball with the magic timeout on their own half of the court, with 13 seconds left in the game and a chance to tie with a 3-pointer, now Milwaukee's at the line with a chance with a free throw to clinch it. That's a decision that got way too little attention. What attention it got was mostly about the propriety of the play. Was it dirty, etc.? Then the efficacy of the play or the wisdom of the play. I thought that it should have been. I thought that decision should go up there with like Buckner letting the ground ball go through his legs, or J.R. Smith not knowing the score was tied and basically killing the clock in game 1 a few years ago.
Chris Webber's timeout. Absolutely. That decision belongs in that pantheon, if you want to call it a pantheon. And he kind of got the guy that was playing. Who was it with LeBron James just a couple of years ago in the playoffs?
Yeah, that was J.R. Smith.
J.R. Smith. Yep.
Where he had the ball with a chance to tie to win the game, and he killed the clolock.
And LeBron's like, "What are you doing?"
Oh my God! All that so the article is about how Chris could have maybe been a champion multiple times, and instead he's not. And he's been in the league now for 16, 17 years. And when things like this come up, you start to think, well, maybe he's not just snake bit. I mean, maybe it's not bad luck. Maybe it's decisions like this that prevent that from happening. And so I wrote about that. Got a few other things in the hopper that are coming. The women's soccer team, the U.S. women's soccer team, plays its first Olympic pool game tomorrow at, I believe, 5 a.m., right before 5 a.m. It's not 5 a.m. in Japan, but it is for us. And the women will play Sweden, top 10 team, sort of a nemesis for them. It's always been the team that knocked them out of the most recent Olympics in 2016. So getting ready for that game as well. A lot going on with the rest of the Olympics, the body of the Olympics, starting competition on Saturday.
Mike, what are your thoughts about Kofi coming back to Illinois, Geo Baker and Ron Harper back at Rutgers, Hunter Dickinson back at Michigan and how that's going to shake things out in the Big Ten competitive wise?
I think that it will not be what it was a year ago. And whatever happened in the NCAA tournament, it was as great as you think it was. The competition in the Big Ten regular season was extraordinary, and the teams were exceptional. They just didn't do well in the NCAAs. It was not a typical NCAA tournament, as we all know. They got the results they got, and no one's going back and giving them Sweet 16s and Elite Eights they didn't earn. But it was as exceptional a league as we thought it was. I'm not buying any revisionist history on that. I don't think that this year will be as good. But the return of Kofi, the return of Geo Baker, the return of E.J. Liddell to Ohio State, that was big. Hunter Dickinson, I never had much doubt he'd go back to Michigan, but good to have him back there. It will be still a very strong league. I think the bottom may be a little bit more compliant this year than it was last 2 years, but the top will still be very powerful. I believe that this puts Illinois in the. Some others were a little more enthusiastic than I was. I don't still put Illinois there with Ohio State, Michigan in particular, and Purdue in particular. I still think those are the two strongest teams in the league. But I think Illinois, it wouldn't shock me if Illinois could win the league, depending on their schedule and how they perform. I think they're a legitimate contender. Indiana is fascinating to me. I mean,
nobody knows. No one knows.
I've not sensed a lot of enthusiasm nationally for them. But I look at that roster and I think it could happen. I mean, and not just, they fixed a lot of what was wrong. They have, if you have, the old adage about if you have two quarterbacks, do you really have one? In basketball, if you have 2 3-point guards, you have 2 3-point guards because you can play them all at once if you want to, as long as they can all make shots. I mean, a year ago they couldn't, so you don't want to, but it's nice to have that luxury of having 3 players who could play point guard for you, who could start at that position. It's way better than having none, and we've all seen really good basketball teams that really didn't have any. So I think Indiana could happen and be in that hunt. I think it's going to be a fascinating race. I really do. Again, do they have a championship contender? I think Michigan, after what I saw from, I watched the FIBA U19 champion, not the championship game, but the semifinals. And I saw the young man from Canada who will play at Michigan this season. And I was really, really impressed by him. I thought he was an exceptional player. His name is Caleb Houston. Really, really going to be a good player for them. I think you add him to Hunter Dickinson, to some of the transfers they've got. It's a very promising team that Michigan has. Ohio State losing Dwayne Washington. I think that's a blow, but I don't think it's as big a blow as some others are saying. E.J. Liddell, for me, was the guy who had to come back. I think they can fill in for what they lost with Dwayne. But they're going to be a better defensive team at the point than they were a year ago. Getting the transfer from Penn State, I think they'll be a better defensive team at the point, and I think that will help them. It certainly would help them in the NCAA tournament if they were better on the perimeter defensively and had a guy like Jamari Wheeler. So, and then Purdue again. Talk about the U19 World Championships. Jaden Ivey, one of the best players there. Zach Edey was tremendous for Canada. They've got a lot going for them, and so I believe that the Big Ten is going to be a fascinating race.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I agree with you, and I think there's so many unknowns, and that's going to be the fun thing. But we'll certainly find out because they'll tip the ball up. Indiana is not that far away from going to the Bahamas. August 10th is when that happens. So, unfortunately, I won't be there, but wish I were.
Yes.
But Mike, I cannot tell you how much I get to see you. We'll look forward to seeing you this week or Thursday and Friday up at the Big Ten Media Day. So we may get you to stop by then as well. But looking forward to it, brother. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
It'll be a lot of
The
fun.
great Mike DeCourcy. Make sure you go check out what he's got on the. It just came out today, like we were talking about, and go to the Sporting News. And he's also with Fox and the Big Ten as well. Hey, we got to take a quick break. We're back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Whether you're looking for
After this.
Hey, Jim, just a reminder, too, at the end of this segment, the radio side, you need to wrap up. You hear me? Cool.
Actually, though, yeah, do that, though, when we're going out.
You mean full, like out at the end of the actual show, too? Like the last hour?
No, just remind when it's time to actually end this segment. Well, it's not that far away, so I can remember.
Did you see this thing about the cardboard beds in Tokyo?
Yeah, but then I
did
saw
see that.
somebody else jumping on top of one saying it's bull crap because they're sitting there jumping on one.
Did he talk about that yesterday or no?
I did not.
We
We
bring
can talk
up.
about it. We can bring it up.
Talker.
Yeah, the Athletes Village is apparently a sex den during the Olympics. I mean, is that accurate?
Maybe that'll be a way to contain COVID too. You know.
Well, that was the point. Didn't you read the article?
Yeah.
That's why they did
Well,
it.
they curtail intimacy, but I didn't know if that was COVID related or also because it's
It was COVID related, yes.
Yeah.
Well, they give a crap if somebody's intimate.
Well, you know what they said, Rocky, women weaken legs. Maybe the coaches don't want them to do it. You know.
You gotta get in there, Rocky!
Man, that's worse
weaken
than
legs. What?
Screech the dog.
Women weaken legs. I can't think of one of his lines, though. Which one of his lines? Give me one of his lines.
What the Burgess Meredith?
Yeah.
That was the only one that I could remember. Women weaken legs. Rock.
Women weaken legs. What do you see? You gotta. But with something lightning and crap thunder. You gotta swallow lightning and crap thunder. See, that's what we need. I need a soundboard with all those stupid things, like The Big Lebowski, my favorite movie of all time. Watched it last night. Man, easy, man. There's a beverage here.
Don't drive on Shabbos, right?
Shomer Shabbos. I don't drive a car. I don't answer the phone. I don't go to work. I don't do this. And I sure as I don't roll.
All right,
Cover
time to
Shabbos.
come back in.
Live lease for just $270 a month. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Happy Tuesday and welcome back. Kevin Brockway with me as always from CNHI Papers. You know, I talked earlier about Cole Hawker, whatever his name is.
Yep.
He's going to be the youngest to represent the United States in track and field since 1968.
How about that?
Well, as long as he gets past COVID. But that is something. I mean, dude, that's Muhammad Ali time.
Yeah. What about Lily King and Copa Bianco? And, there could be some IU medalists out there. Certainly Lily King.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Course. We're expecting that. Waiting to get closer to that, but absolutely expecting to see how that goes. It would be a disappointment if Lily King did not medal.
I think she's going to medal. It's going to be a question of whether she gets the gold. She'll probably get the gold in the 100 breaststroke for sure.
The 200
will be maybe the 200 will be Annie Laser, who's been training with IU as well.
Well, and she lost to Annie Laser in the qualifiers, didn't she?
Yeah.
I mean, finished runner up to her.
Yeah.
But
a nice human interest story because Annie Laser, I guess her father died recently, and Lily King gave her a hug, and it was, they've kind of created a little bond there. It's interesting. They're pushing each other, and that'll be the swimming events. Will be fascinating to see. Ray Lewis is back there again as the IU swim coach too, and so many great swimmers. Ray Lewis once told me this would be a fascinating story and something that I should explore. Because remember when Bob Knight returned to Assembly Hall, obviously, and he had been gone 20 years. Do you realize who's never returned to IU since leaving campus? Mark Spitz.
Never.
According to Ray Lewis.
Is there a reason?
He's just a very aloof guy, but it would be interesting to see, that would be an interesting fact. Why has he never returned to IU after all these years? I mean, since his career in 1972, why has he never come back? He could be, you could make the argument that he's the most accomplished athlete ever to come out of Indiana.
There is no argument. He is the most accomplished athlete to come out of Indiana. He won 7 gold medals.
Yeah.
I mean,
Isaiah Thomas won an NBA championship. I mean,
he won an NBA championship.
Two NBA.
Well, but 7 gold medals.
Yeah.
In what year was it?
1972, right?
2, yes.
Yeah.
He did that when nobody else was doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, he did that, 30 years prior to the Michael Phelps?
Yeah.
I mean, Mark Spitz didn't have the training they have today. They have what they had then. They didn't have all the equipment, wearing all the stuff that makes you faster and this and that. Didn't have the weight training. It was.
Well, neither did the other athletes. So, I mean, he's the product of his era.
Right. But to do what he did, though, to dominate like that, that's big time. But that is an odd story because he should be one of the most recognized names in Indiana University history. IU people know that, but how many people outside of Indiana know that? Outside of swimming, I promise you,
when I first came here 2 years ago, I never realized that he went to Indiana, until Ray Lewis told me.
And that's crazy because IU had a great swimming program all that time. Doc Councilman, Hobie Billingsley, those guys were the best of the best, Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
So that is a little shocking. But so just being aloof is not a good enough reason. There has to be more. I mean, have they invited him back?
I think they have a few times, and I think he's just, he's in California, and that's where he wants to be, apparently.
But, a damn plane ride to Indianapolis is only 3.5 hours, so they can fly him directly into Bloomington. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. You're going to tell me he's not flying other places?
Like I said, I don't know for sure. I mean, this is something I thought about delving into it a few months ago, and then other things came up in terms of stories, and I'm kicking myself because it would have been a really good Olympic story to delve into, the why of it. But maybe down the road,
post-Olympic.
Yeah,
I'm going to go to California and find out. I need to know.
We should fly to California and find out.
Where in California? Where are we going?
I think he's outside of LA. I think he's kind of in that maybe that Riverside, California area.
Yes, I'm in.
Actually, I have a cousin that lives there. We can crash on her couch.
Well, there's that. There's that. But while we're contemplating that, man, I guess we'll just go ahead and take a quick break and think about let you make your maybe make some Airbnb reservations out there, and we'll go out there and hit up Mark Spitz and see what's going on with that. That's a good point. Chronic's coming up next. We'll ask him about that. That's a great thing. Hey, we're back with more. Chronic Hoosier joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
Nope, in radio.
Oh. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us. If you're listening in Evansville on the Ref ESPN, you guys are cutting short today, but the rest of you, we're going forward. And but we'll see you guys on the radio tomorrow. Thanks to Kevin Brockway and Mike DeCourcy, and thanks to you guys. And until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I'll see you on the radio. And whether you're looking for a new or a used vehicle, Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington's got you covered. They're Bloomington's number one. I don't like doing it that way. Evansville, just for you, those y'all listening, wondering, Evansville has some preempting the programming this week. Evansville Radio, and they're only taking an hour of the show, but I don't like doing it that way, John.
Yeah, we can discuss a different way to do that.
Yep, I'm gonna change that. Chronic, what's up, brother?
Not a thing, man. I didn't want to talk to Evansville anyhow.
That's right. That's right. We are going to talk about Mark Spitz. That was a great point Kevin brought up in the off. He has not been back to campus. I don't want to waste the good stuff now, so I want to get the full surprise then. But what's new with you, man?
Not a thing. That's actually news to me. I was not aware of that.
Yeah, that's going to be something fun to talk about.
Chronic, I heard you had an interesting tweet about the Jeff Bezos situation.
I didn't even know this was happening. I get to work today, and it's brought to my attention that this billionaire is launching, and I flip over to catch it out, and I'm like, well, that's a craft.
Kevin and Jim, he's referring. He said that the spacecraft looked like a dong,
a giant space dong.
You mean like a Google Chrome dong?
Not a dongle.
That's a dongle. My bad.
Remember that Austin Powers scene with we would call it the spaceship that went up?
Yeah, I mean, and I didn't realize, I had no idea. I don't follow the stuff that closely, but I people talk about going to space, and honestly, we're just kind of playing just the tip. Like, you just get the craft just far enough up that it counts as space, but you're not really in space. I mean, you got to be further out than that, but whatever.
Oh, man. Found me some cigars.
I think he lives in Santa Clara, California, Jim.
Huh? Oh.
He lives in Santa Clara.
We're going. We're going, by gosh.
Searching for Mark Spitz.
I mean, is he estranged from the university, or is it just something where he never?
That's what I asked, and it doesn't sound like it.
All right,
I don't know. I just know that 2 years ago, Ray Lewis told me that he just hasn't been back, and that people, because I was doing a story on Lily King.
House in Carmel and on 86th Street in Indy have a long list of craft beers and all of the right foods to go with. Plan a day on the links at Eagle Point in Bloomington, then stay for dinner at Sam's Clubhouse. Sam's Restaurants, professionals in the art of food and drink. This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indy Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back. I hope you guys are having a good start to the week. Chronic Hoosier joining us. Kevin Brockway's with us. We were talking before, Chronic, about Mark Spitz has not returned to the Bloomington campus since he left.
I did not know this. I was completely unaware of that. A little surprising. Just simply he's, probably pretty much unquestionably the greatest athlete in IU history. I wasn't aware of that, but it's also one of those periods where, when he was in school in the 60s into the 70s, we just quite hadn't got to that point of exploitation, if you will. Well, they certainly made a lot of hay off of it. It wasn't one of those where they were commonly putting, especially Olympic athletes, and kind of thrusting them front and center, and doing the co-branding that we're so accustomed to now. So I guess I'm a little surprised, but at the end of the day, too, probably not as much as I probably should be. And part of it probably simply swimming is as well resources like basketball. Those guys coming off their reunion weekend down there at French Lick program that's of that stature, the resources to do stuff like that, and to invest in getting those guys back together. Where as is the case with most of our Olympic sports, often those guys just trying to make sure everybody's equipped and fed, and all the hotels are booked for the coming travel season. So surprising, but I guess I'm not completely floored by that. But it would be cool to see him back in the pool, especially with like Lily King.
Yeah, you mentioned the reunion over the weekend. The guys were all gathered down at French Lick. I'm sure they played some golf yesterday. Coach Knight was there the day before, I noticed. So that was a great get together for those guys. What a fun time to be down there. And you talk about a great place and time for a reunion. That had to be fun as all get out. And to have the new coaching staff, that's the way to get as many guys together as you can as they try to jumpstart that fraternity.
No, I think it's absolutely huge. It's something they've been doing for years now. Every summer, the program has a reunion. Normally, there's a golf outing that's tied to it. Usually, it's elsewhere. It's not. I'm sorry. Normally, it's been held here in Bloomington. It's not been abroad, but they chose to take it down to French Lick, which kudos to everybody else. A gorgeous place down at West Baden, but an unbelievable course. Tipton Tornado. I don't know how many times total, but I know he's a multi-time champion there. He's quite the player. But him and Finkelmeyer and Tabor, and I believe Danny Moore were able to pull, or no, I'm sorry, Adam Alfeld were able to pull the win off. So would love to hear some stories for that, but love to see the guys get back together. Love to see Coach interacting with the team again on a more regular basis. On a public basis. Previously there'd been more contact than what was well known. Everyone was just sworn to secrecy about the return trips and the meetups. So it's an exciting new era for a lot of reasons, but not the least of which to see, a lot of the old legends of the past brought back into the fold and really trying to build this thing back up from the ground up again.
Football recruiting continues to roll on. There's a kid from Miami, I think, expected to commit. Is that as soon as today, Kevin?
Be today.
And then, of course, the bigger pending decision coming on Thursday. Yet another 4-star could be coming to Bloomington, and that would just be a really, really big get. A kid that he's a kid that could go anywhere, really.
This is I continue to have to recalibrate every week when you follow some of the recruiting news and just the era in which this team is currently occupying in the stratosphere of college football powerhouses. To see us regularly in contention for athletes who are considering power schools around the country, SEC, best in the Big Ten. It's just a wild time to be alive. And it's not just that we're doing it. It's that every time you get a chance to meet some of these kids that the program is landing, not only are you seeing just some exceptional athletes, in my limited experience so far, this staff's ability to continue to recruit really high character kids who fit the culture, kids who are going to thrive and excel here at the university and everything that they prioritize. It's an amazing run, and it just keeps on getting better. So I can't wait to see how that class finally shapes up here.
Yeah, Philip Dunham, kid from Miami. I think is he a safety, Kevin?
Look it up right now.
Yeah, I think he's a safety, a kid from Miami that is expected to be coming on today. So that would be another Nice get for Tom Allen and crew coming in from Florida. Continue to add to that defense. But yet, Joe Strickland, I talk about, he's going to be making a decision on Thursday. And Chronic, the fact that he's making that decision on Thursday, the opening day of Big Ten Media Days, the day before both Jeff Brom and Tom Allen speak, kind of lends me to believe it's going to be at least a Big Ten pick versus Stanford.
You'd certainly hope so. He's certainly setting the table up for a big splash if that's the direction he chooses to go for it. But, that's the wild world of especially football recruiting, man. It's just nuts anymore. But, it continues to get better and better for Indiana. So excited to see what happens. As always, have to curb the expectations and wish the kid well if he chooses to go elsewhere, and hope everybody respects the decision. But again, I just continue to be floored at the conversations taking place among the best talent in the country that's now looking at Indiana as a viable place for them to advance their careers and their education.
Big Ten football, just like Big Ten basketball, no idea really what's going to happen, Kevin, other than we all know that Ohio State is going to be good. That's who everyone is always chasing, especially if you're in the East Division. Indiana and Penn State are, in my mind, the two that can give Ohio State a run. I think Michigan is going to be back in fourth. I think Michigan State's going to be behind them, but they may not. Rutgers is going to jump up into that. Do you know that Rutgers, don't they have a top 20 class right now?
Yeah, Greg Schiano is doing some good things there. And, Mike Locksley.
A top 20 class at Rutgers.
Yeah, and I mean, Mike Locksley is recruited pretty well at Maryland too, but you got to coach him up also. There's something to be said. I still think Rutgers is probably I look at Rutgers and Maryland, and I see them maybe where Indiana was like 2 or 3 years ago, where they're starting to get some guys, but they don't quite have the depth. So I think this is Indiana's window. I mean, for sure. I think this is kind of the time when, if you're going to challenge Ohio State, you have them at home this season. Michael Penix appears to be on the right track and healthy. I think this is. I think these next couple of years now with Tywan Mullen and Micah McFadden as juniors and Penix as a junior, this is kind of the time where you're really going to have to do it. And if you continue to be successful, the recruiting classes will come. I think we're seeing that with 2022 also, and then success begets success in that regard, and talent begets talent.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where this class ends as far as total ranking when it's said and done, but it's going to be up there pretty high. What's the highest class Indiana's ever had? Does this have a chance to eclipse it already? I mean, it's getting up there. Chronic, the level, I can't think of a time where it's any higher than it is right now.
No, it's one of those two where you sense the momentum gaining. I looked this up the other day. It feels like Indiana perpetually hovered somewhere in the mid 50s to mid 60s range. That was kind of par for their course. That was their year in, year out about where we saw them land. And now to see them competing in the top 30, top 20, it's truly unprecedented. And it seems like every year they're raising the bar a little bit higher and a little bit higher. But as Kevin said, talent begets talent. Talented kids want to play with other talented kids and reach their highest potential. And that's contagious right now, and it continues to keep building. So at the end of the day, results are going to go a whole lot longer than commitments. But he certainly got them trending on the right path and shown no signs of stopping.
What else is going on with you, man, as we head through this summer or into July? And it's, I don't want to say the backside of the summer now, because it's not really. We're just kind of getting started, I guess, for summertime. But the kids are out playing ball. The Little League World Series is going on. The Olympics are about to start. We've got Big Ten Media Days. We've got Indiana in the Bahamas. There is a ton. AAU, the second weekend of the Peach Jam. There's just a ton of stuff going on. Which is awesome, because 1 year ago, crickets.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's wild how quickly that passed. What seemed like it was going to take forever, or at least in my household. B-Town summer effectively comes to an end tomorrow. My youngest begins his first season playing football. They've got conditioning that starts next week. into practice the week following. So we're just a couple weeks away from community school starting. It's here. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. It's like there's this lull, we're in the doldrums, and then once media day hits, man, it's just light speed ahead into the onset of the season. So we're going to drink up every last drop that we've got while it's still in front of us. We're getting ready to cut a new Mind Your Banners here Thursday morning. Got an exit interview with John Blau from the Herald Times as he gets ready to head down to Clemson on a new journey in his career. So look forward to that and just trying to take the most advantage of it while we got it in front of us here.
Yeah, we had John on with us yesterday. A great writer on the beat. As I said then, said now again, it's a great loss to the IU beat, but we wish him great success, and we'll hopefully see him down the road at a football game.
Yeah, maybe a bowl game.
That would be very, and he mentioned it, but if you go to 12, Kevin, that is not at all crazy for that to potentially happen.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be this year, but I think a couple of years down the road, you'll see that 12-team playoff, and that's going to be it's going to be fascinating, and I think it's good for the sport at this time because of the fact that, as we've discussed, it being going from being the Alabama and Clemson Invitational and Ohio State Invitational, now you give more seats at the table there. More players will be engaged. Some people will say it devalues the regular season. I kind of disagree because I think you'll see less teams laying up in November. I think you'll see more teams feel like they're in the race. They're going to be going for it instead of less players being pulled out of bowl games just preparing for the NFL draft.
What's up next for you, Chronic?
Chronic disappeared.
All right, we lost him. So, well, we'll let him go. But yeah, looking forward to getting to that. And we'll go ahead and take a break and come back. We got plenty more to get to. Back with it here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Whether you're looking for
I sent Maurice Creek a follow-up email to make sure he was good for 10:20. I know he's definitely going to be on. I wanted to make sure he knew what time because he retweeted the promo and stuff. Did you tell him 10:20, Jim, when you booked him?
I can't remember if it was 10:20 or 10:20 or 10:40. But he's already retweeted the thing, so.
Yeah, but I wanted to make sure he knew what time. You can just tell him the links in his email. He can join whenever he's ready. Wonder what happened to Chronic.
Drop signal problem.
ET phone home.
Dun, 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 dun.
I was trying to remember why you wanted to use that initially, but that was from when you were anytime you mentioned Muppet Mark.
Yeah, that's losing its steam for me.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think who was it that? Oh yeah, Zach Osterman that helped you understand more of.
Well,
it's not really him.
It just put just to put a light on it.
Yeah.
What was I looking at? Oh yeah.
Here's Mo.
Hey, Maurice, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good to see you again, man. Kevin Brockway's on here with us, just an FYI.
Ooh.
How's the TBT going, man? Mr. TBT, as I call you.
It's going pretty well. It's going.
He is Mr. TBT, man.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and bring us back in.
Lease for just $180 a month, or a new 2021 Honda Accord LX front-wheel drive lease for just $270 a month. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back on this Tuesday. Kevin Brockway with us, and now we're joined by one of our old good friends of the show, Maurice Creek. Hey, Mo, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are y'all?
Great. Mr. TBT, as I call him, the TBT is back, and it is one of the funnest things to watch. This thing has just become must-see TV in the summer. I mean, it is just a fun tournament. The Elam ending, I guess, adds something to that as well, but it's just you guys are all fighting, man. It's like you can tell. Is it the winner take all that really just creates that atmosphere?
I think it's that, and I also think it's because you never know who's watching. Everybody wants to put their best foot forward and win for their team. So, you got hand in hand right there.
You've done a pretty good job of that. Was it you guys finished runner-up last year?
Yep.
Golly, it was so close. Some great shots by you. Already starting to hit some great shots again this year. How's the team feeling so far? How's it been rolling?
The team's good. We're way deeper than we were last year, as a lot of people are starting to see. And I feel like we're starting to get our camaraderie together, and we trust each other. We trust what we do. So I think that's why we're successful right now.
Are your teams the same name? Are you on the same team name?
Yeah, Sideline Council.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. And because you guys are all working to bring some benefits to that. Kevin, I know you're a fan of the TBT too. This thing is just fun to watch, and it's played close by here in the Midwest, but it's really just caught. I think fans love watching this, Kevin.
What amazes me is the chemistry that you guys develop in a short period of time. What's the process, and how does that kind of come about that you can get a team together that quickly? Or do you guys find different times to work out during the season?
It's crazy for me too. We have a lot of new guys. We have a couple of new guys that are my guys, but they haven't played with everybody else. The two that I brought in were Bruce Massey and Maxie Esho, and nobody else has played with them. So for them to be feeling so comfortable off the rip, it just shows how much we care about each other and the brotherhood that we have started with. And then we got our main quarterback with me, Marcus King, Remy, Devontae Upson, and E.T. And it's a couple of new faces that we have Trey Lewis, Terry Larrier, Chris Clark. It's a mixture of everything. So, like I said, for us to be feeling the way that we're feeling about each other, the way that we care about each other, and the way we want to all win for each other is crazy.
Yeah, you look at college basketball today with the transfer portal, and you're seeing that in some terms of teams being put together on the fly year after year. It's probably less so in your day 10 years ago when you played. Does it just amaze you that I guess today's players are this adaptable, or do you think that it's something that they've kind of learned over time as rosters have fluctuated so much now in college and the NBA?
I feel like it's a mixture of both. I feel like they just when it comes to winning, you got to put everything, all the egos and all the other stuff to the side. And if you can do that, that's what's gonna make your team successful. And going into the college level, into the NBA level, that's already going to be established. But when you go into one of these tournaments, you never know what you might get. You know what I mean? You might get somebody who's they know they're getting seen, so they might try to do too much. Or, you know, you might get that team player. And I think that's what we were looking for our team, a bunch of team players, and that's exactly what we got.
Where are you playing now? Talk about your pro career. You're still over in Europe?
I came back from Romania last year. I have not signed yet. I'm taking my time with that, being patient. A couple of my guys on this team have already signed. I'm happy for them for that. And, yeah, I'm just going to take my time with everything and make the best move for me.
How difficult was it for you with COVID and managing that in a foreign country last year? I know Jordan Hulls is on with us all the time, and his family didn't get over there for a long time, and it was just harder. They were locked down a lot of the time. They're in Germany. How difficult was it for you?
It really wasn't that bad. I just felt like everything was closed down. So, of course, you know, you get with your teammates even more now. You, you know, build what you got to build to win. And that's really what was going on. You know, me and Kenny Brown, he was my point guard. We stayed together all the time. And, you know, we basically just played video games and, you know what I'm saying, watch TV, watch the games that was going on, you know, just building our brotherhood between each other. And, you know, there's a couple of other guys that we had that, you know, we would work out with and, you know, hang out with just to build camaraderie towards each other. So it was a blessing and a curse at the same time. You know, you want to go out in the country and enjoy yourself, but at the same time, it was a blessing because we built, you know, something together throughout that time.
Do you have a favorite country that you played in your career?
I actually had to say it was Romania last year. Even though the COVID hit, you can just see what it felt like to be in the capital of a country. You know what I mean? You know, you walk around, they would know you. You know, you in a different country, and it's not all about basketball. Now you know, it's like you're kind of alone. But because basketball was the second most popular sport in, you know, so in Romania, then, you know, you got kind of the little shout of, oh, you know, saying somebody want an autograph here, picture there, you know, and start to know you.
The changeover at Indiana with Mike Woodson. I know you're busy doing things, but what are your thoughts from that from the outside? What do you think about that change and what it's going to do for Indiana?
I like it. You know, you bring a NBA coach in there, you getting an NBA pro style offense and a pro style defense, and I really feel like him going to Indiana was one of the best moves that could have happened for Indiana. I can't wait to watch and see how that's going to work. And I just hope that, you know, people be patient. You know, it's not going to come overnight. You know, so things are going to happen. You know, mistakes are going to happen. Sometimes games are not going to be won, but give them time to enjoy, you know what I'm saying, each other and see what goes on from there.
Will you get a chance to come back or visit with that staff or try to see them while you're home?
You know, I'm going to try my luck. You know, I haven't been back to Bloomington in so long. I think the last time I've been to Bloomington was when I had transferred to George Washington and I came down for a little 500 weekend. So I think it's due time.
I agree. It's time, man. So they're having actually a reunion this weekend, or they did, or something. But yeah, that would be great. And make sure you let me know. But we'll be talking to you throughout the TBT. But yeah, I'd love to. It's definitely time. Geez, how long has that been then? 10 years?
About 10 years.
11, 12? What are we talking?
It's been about what? I graduated 2013, 2014.
Oh, okay.
21. It's about 7 years, 8 years.
Yeah. That's still too long, man. 7 year itch. It's a 7 years. You're going to win the TBT, and then because you're already here, you're already right here. Where's the finals? Are they going to be in Columbus?
They're in Columbus, right?
Yeah. Dayton, Ohio.
Oh,
They're Dayton. Okay.
Stephen
And you know, every year I talk about there should be a stinking IU alumni team. You're starting to get all these other teams, and it's so hard. But man, sideline cancer would be a great one to morph into that with some IU players. That would be a great crossover there. So we need to get some of these guys. Maybe when Jordan Hulls gets done, coming playing it, because that's what makes it difficult for a lot of guys that aren't playing professionally. I mean, you're one of the few that can, or some that can, but their schedules don't always work out to where when they get back they can play in something like this.
Yeah, and I think another thing is that because we play overseas, and we're already gone for 9 months, you know, people want to relax and chill out with their families and stuff like that too. So I feel like that's what hits a lot of guys as well.
You can't get an NBA guy as a ringer like Cody Zeller, bring him down for a few weeks.
Unfortunately,
be a good way to win $1 million, right?
Because he plays in the NBA, I feel he has an NBA contract. I feel like I can't get him. But we'd love to have Cody come down if he's available and willing.
Get him put him on the IL or something, or IR. Put him on the IR for a couple of weeks and then ship him out to you. But John, where are we on time?
Honestly, you can do whatever you want since we don't have the second half of radio.
Oh, that's right. Perfect. All right, so what's up next, Maurice? You guys play in 2 days. But the first week was more like pool play. This is actual tournament, right?
This tournament all the way around, so you lose
all the way through it. So you guys are 2-0 already.
Yes.
Next game coming up in 2 days. You're taking on the Buccaneers. Who we got here? Who are we looking at?
We actually played them tomorrow. We played them.
Oh, it is tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow. So I don't know what time the game is, but
sure is. My date's wrong.
They're a hell of a team. They're the epitome of hard work and a team that can knock down a lot of shots. And I think that's the East Tennessee State alumni team. And
led by Trey Boyd III. He averages 19 a game. DeSanta Bradford, 18.5. Justin 2-0, 14. Tevin Glass, 9. Cornelius Hudson, 5. There's their starters, I guess. So there you go.
Yeah.
Looks like another W for sideline cancer to me.
Yeah, we're not going to take them lightly, though, because they get a lot of threes up and they shooting the best out of every team in the tournament right now. So they play like Golden State. They run, they play defense, they get out to the wings for threes, and they knock them down. So for us, I think the main thing for us is just locking in on defense, grabbing the rebound, don't give them those second chance points, and running them off the line.
So, man, we're getting down to the nitty gritty. Let's see. You've got a game, like I said. You said tomorrow, and when do we play after that? Since that's the 20th. That's the wrong.
I think we get a week and a half break off, and then we'll.
Oh wow!
Pick up in Dayton, Ohio. I think the 31st of July, and then the last game is August 3rd.
Is Everland Drive? Are they besides Sideline Cancer the favorite?
Yeah, they're loaded. They have a lot of players who are ex-NBA players. Marquise Teague, Archie Goodwin. You got Devin Robinson over there. They're loaded a little bit.
I covered Devin Robinson when he was at Florida. Actually, played pretty well in the NCAA tournament. I know he had kind of had a tryout with the Pacers, didn't work out for him this past season.
Yeah, he's in good talent for sure.
What's up next for you, Mo? After, of course, like I said, I think we'll be talking to you throughout this as keep us going because we want to see you back in the championship game. But other than that, what do you plan on doing for the summer?
Just continue to work out. Like I said, I got a couple of trips I need to make, and just get ready to sign to the best team and you know, the team that wants me the most. So it's gonna be a busy summer, but at the same time, this is what I signed up for, and I'm excited and happy to see where I land.
Yeah, you gotta get in to Bloomington, go to Yogi's and sign the wall in there with the rest of those guys on there. But well, man, I appreciate you taking the time to join us. We'll be checking back in, like I said, as the TBT continues. The Elam ending. How much do you like that? Because you play in the league throughout the year that doesn't have that, and then this has that. How much do you like having that?
I love it.
Or
like I've said in the past years, I think every league should implement it because it doesn't decide who wins a game and who loses a game. It decides from the team and how hard they're going to work to put another team out. And it brings that street ball feel back, but at the same time, you got to be smart when it comes to the Elam ending. Because you can lose a lead as much as you got a lead. So I feel as if everybody should have it because it makes everybody work just as hard as another person and to win a game. And now you got to think.
Yeah, and it kind of takes away that free throw aspect too, where games become, you foul on purpose and stuff and everything like that. You don't have that with the Elam ending.
All right, brother. I appreciate you, Maurice. We'll let you get back to it, and good luck tomorrow. We'll check in and see how that one goes, but I expect another victory there for you to go to 3-0 and then on into the next round, my man. We appreciate you so much.
Appreciate you.
Thank you very much, Maurice Creek, joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We've got more coming up. We'll be back with it right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, Hoosier fans, are you typing during that?
Me?
Yeah.
No, why?
Did you hear that typing sound?
I think that was his phone.
You always say that.
Phone. I mean, here, I'll tell you what typing sounds like. Here's typing. About the same thing.
I don't like that. Drives me nuts. Drives me crazy. People have been wanting phone ins, John. People asking for us to be able to take phone calls. That should not be a problem, should it?
Right now it probably is because I haven't tested it since we did the Dick Vitale thing.
But I mean, it should not be a problem. It should be an easy thing.
Once we learn how to do it, or once I learn how to get it working correctly, that shouldn't be a problem.
That'll be fun taking phone calls.
It should be one plug from the phone into.
I know. That's what I'm saying. We tried that with Dickie V, but he couldn't hear you all when we tried it. I have to mess with it a little bit.
You can't count that one. But
Pat from Evansville, you're on.
Hey, this is Pat from
Johnny
that
from
way,
French Lick.
you could start doing trivia.
Gnawbone, Indiana.
I would love to. Oh, Gnawbone. Yeah, that little blink. You blink and you're out of their town right there by Bloomington.
Yeah.
Had a lot of. The thing is, it's. I mean, the majority of the people that listen don't have the opportunity to listen live. Yeah. That's the only bad thing.
Well, what you need to do if we start doing that, when you're announcing that we're taking callers, you need to specify that it's for the YouTube side only, in some way, shape, or form. Because if you have people trying to call Evansville, they won't know what the hell's going on.
Well, they won't. They wouldn't be trying to call Evansville. They would be calling the number that we give them.
Well, that's true. That's also
they'd be
true.
calling at 3 p.m, right?
Yes. And I'll say, "What do you want?"
Double anchovies.
Yeah, we'll work on that after media days. We'll see if we can get something going like that after media days.
That would be, and that makes the show go by quicker when you have callers.
Especially on segments like this upcoming segment where we don't have a guest.
Right. Yeah, you can just banter with them, and you can,
Was it
especially when some people
about?
Not that I want people to act ignorant, but it can be kind of funny when you get certain personalities.
Yeah, there's guys like what's his name? When I was in Gainesville, there was this one guy that called from Jasper, Tennessee, all the time, and he used to call Fine Bomb Show, and he was just a piece of work.
All right.
And then he was like a Gator football fan, but a Duke basketball fan. So I called him out. I said, "You're not a true Gator fan. You don't root for Gator basketball. You root only for
Restaurants, professionals in the art of food and drink. This segment is brought to you by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back. It is Tuesday. Kevin Brockway is with us from CNHI.
Yeah, so we were talking before about the COVID spread in Japan, and here's a story pulled up from ESPN.com. The hard truth about Olympic Village beds. Cardboard beds in the Olympic Village in order to dissuade intimacy among athletes from different countries.
But wasn't that from the New York Post?
Well, the story that I got was from ESPN.com, but
okay.
On it too, or other people. But this is the story.
But I saw that same story, but I saw it came with a guy who was sitting there jumping on top of it, going, "Yeah, not so much." I mean, he was literally jumping on it. So. But yeah, I did see that, which I thought is funny. I did not realize the Olympic Village was a sex den.
Yeah, well, I guess it's always been. They've, they talk about it in Rio. They had like a record number of condoms that were handed out and stuff and everything. And you've got all these young 20-something-year-old
people. There goes the family show.
Well,
you're in Rio. What do you expect?
Yeah. Blaming on Rio, right? That was a nice
movie. There you go. But
Michael Caine, right?
Yeah, their concern should just be making sure they have. If you put the time in that an Olympic athlete has to put in the training, what you have sacrificed in your life, what others have sacrificed in their life, COVID has to be on your mind, and not putting yourself in a situation to where I'm still stunned from some of the.
I'm sure I've said this before on my show, but the frontal lobe of the brain doesn't fully develop until you're 26 years old. You're dealing with a bunch of 20-year-olds. They think they're indestructible. They think it's not going to happen to them. It's, we're middle aged. We're, of a different ilk than they are. You know what I mean? It's just that's just going to be. They're going to behave the way they're going to behave, and think that they can get through it. So. Maybe this is a preemptive measure. Who knows? Maybe it will help, but maybe the cardboard beds will be strong enough for certain people.
We've definitely seen an uptick in football sales. I think 27% was the number I saw from Jeremy Gray put out one day. I'm curious, how many road travelers for Indiana? The bigger teams, they always have a presence. But I will say that there are people that travel for the Hoosiers, but not many. The bowl game against Tennessee, the Outback Bowl, the Gator Bowl, I was shocked at the disparity of fans between Tennessee and Indiana. And I didn't realize it until we were in the stadium, because leading up to it at the hotel, I'm like, oh, man, I was like, wow, there's a lot of Indiana people here. I was thinking I didn't see a lot of Tennessee. We're at the stadium. They had the fan event stuff going on. I'm like, oh, all right. Get in the stadium, buddy. That changed to about 80-20.
Yeah.
I was stunned.
That's a Jacksonville is an 80,000 seat stadium. Tennessee is closer.
Way closer, way easier, way accustomed to football.
I thought Indiana. No, I thought the Indiana turnout for that bowl, considering all the facts, wasn't terrible. I think it could have been worse, considering that you're talking about traditional basketball school.
It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't.
Yeah. But it wasn't. But Tennessee, you've got 100,000 people filling, Rocky Top every week, no matter how good or how bad the product is. It's just the SEC. It's just different down there.
Yeah,
as we know.
hopefully that fan support continues, not just at home. You got to build it at home first.
Yeah.
You're not going to have it on the road if you don't have it at home. So they have got to build it at home, and you do that way they are. You have to win to get confidence, for the fans to have confidence. The students need to stay. Everybody needs to stay.
I have a feeling if they're 3-0, especially, if they can beat Iowa and they can beat Cincinnati, I have a feeling you're going to see a lot of people go down to Western Kentucky for that game, because that's a close drive, and they'll be fired up. At that point, Indiana will probably be a top 10 program. I think you're going to see a lot of people fill that stadium in Bowling Green if they get off to a 3-0 start. If they're 1-2, then all bets are off. Then we'll see if they're just still on the bandwagon.
That game also gives a lot of other people opportunities to go see Indiana football that might not, from down in southern Indiana, Madison, down around Louisville, Evansville. Yep. Go on down. Boom. Easy trip over there.
I'm sure Jennifer Land will be there. Yeah.
Jennifer Land. You got all the other, let's see. Tim's in southern Indiana. Let's see. There was another one that hit us up earlier at southern Indiana. Dwayne down there in southern Indiana. Force is always down in Georgia. So
are they football fans down there, or are they more basketball fans in southern Indiana? Are they football fans down there?
For Indiana?
Yeah, I mean, are they more of a football fan or a basketball fan?
Well, every place is a basketball bed. There's no place that's not more of a basketball bed, not in this state. Other than Indianapolis itself, which has been on, taking on the Colts, but there's not a football other than maybe a small town that may have had a perennial great high school football team, but no, what do they have to, or South Bend,
Notre Dame, that region,
South Bend, South Bend up there, because you've got it built in over those decades and decades of success, but no. Nowhere is it. Now you have football fans everywhere, and there are some diehard IU football fans, and it's great to see that. Hopefully, you see more of that.
You played at Floyd Central, right? Floyd Central had a pretty good high school football program, right?
Yeah. We were, when I was there, we had the best team we'd ever had. But they had some great runs after that, and how the playoffs changed. Great facilities down there. But yeah, there's good football everywhere. Whoever's going to, Jeffersonville's a 2,000 student high school. I mean, New Albany is big. So you've got some big
high
schools.
School we went to in Evansville a couple of years ago. They had a nice football stadium, that Harrison High School.
You've got a ton of Indiana or Evansville schools. A lot of them play at, daggone it. One of the Evansville people put that up there. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on it. The old baseball, man, they used to play at the old baseball place. The Wrights Bowl. They used to play at the Wrights Bowl. But they have Harrison has their own field right off of the highway there. But yeah, I beat you to it, Wyatt. Thank you, but I finally got it out. But I appreciate you. But yeah, that's one of those deals. It's kind of like Louisville. Man, they had the Trinity and St. X. Neither of them had their own stadium forever. The two biggest school, most successful schools around there, and but now they do. But there's that. So,
but if Indiana's winning, I think you will see those fans go on the road trips. Michigan is drivable also. Say what if they're 7-0 going into Michigan? You know what I mean, or 6-1. That'll be you might even see some IU fans in the Big House.
Yeah, Michael Penix named to the Davey O'Brien watch list yesterday. What was he on the Maxwell list yesterday?
Ian Freifel were on the Maxwell, and Tywan Mullen and Micah McFadden were on the Bednarik. So you had four guys on major award lists, and then Davey O'Brien today, the quarterback award watch list. So you've certainly a lot of preseason attention for IU, and let's see if they can carry it over into this year.
A little fun fact: Indiana and Ohio State were the only two Big Ten teams to have multiple players on both lists.
Wow!
How about that?
Wow!
Yep.
Wow!
I'm guessing who was on from Ohio State, probably Olave, right? And Garrett Wilson, maybe. The two receivers, or Master Teague. Every time I say Master Teague's name, I think Mr. T. That's another 80s reference.
Yeah, but I don't
Master
think
Teague
I don't think a wide receiver is going to win the Maxwell Award.
Olave?
Yeah.
Hmm.
How
That's
often
a
does that
quarterback
happen?
or a running back award, do you think?
Yep. Now, the Davey O'Brien Award is a quarterback award specifically,
And then, you have the
but not
Blitzer
many quarterbacks are named to that watch list coming off a year that you only throw for 1,600 yards.
For
But
what,
Michael
Penix?
Penix is. Yeah.
Well, he had the injury. I mean, if he plays
Well, I know that. I'm just saying they know that's my point.
Yeah.
Is people know what is there.
Well, Penix still has to prove that he can play an 11, 12 game. That's the thing that's still out there. With for as good as he is, there's ability and there's durability. That's kind of the whole issue with Mike, as it is with any other great player. People have talked about Jacob deGrom challenging Bob Gibson and having the great season, but he's on the shelf. His form is tight. It's the same thing. It's like, if you can't make it to a full season or have all those starts, is it really a great season?
Yeah, it would be big time to see an Indiana football player win one of these national awards. That would also carry a ton of weight for this program.
Anthony didn't win the Heisman. Did he win any other major awards back in the 80s?
He won the Maxwell Award for one.
He won Maxwell. Okay.
I think he won several. He should have won the Heisman. The only reason he did not win the Heisman is because Indiana lost to Purdue and finished the season 4-5. It's sad. He is the closest any player has come to winning the Heisman Trophy from a losing team since Paul Hornung won it on a 5-6 Notre Dame team.
Yeah.
He did it on a Notre Dame team. Anthony Thompson almost did it for Indiana.
Yeah.
But see, to me, it's nuts. Of course he should have won it at Notre Dame. They have the best of the best, but Indiana was playing against all those top teams. That's
Tevin Coleman. Did he win any major awards?
Tevin Coleman did not even get an invite to the Heisman Trophy. He rushed for 2,000 yards, one of only 18 players in the history of NCAA Division I football to rush for 2,000 yards in a season, and did not get an invite to New York City.
Touchdown.
Meanwhile, Oklahoma had two guys there. Ridiculous. Yeah. It's all about, it's because of what was on his chest. Because Tevin Coleman was a bad man. And I can't remember who that receiver was from Oklahoma. I think it was Baker Mayfield, the quarterback, right? And I can't remember the receiver. I wonder if he's still in the NFL. Just curious, because
you know where Tevin Coleman is playing this year, right? The JETS Jets, yeah.
Oh, really?
And Dan Feeney also is a Jet too. So two Indiana guys on that team.
Down with the Jets. I did not know that happened. Very cool.
Both signed in the offseason, yeah.
Is that like going to purgatory?
Yeah, football purgatory. But Robert Saleh with the 49ers, obviously, was with Tevin Coleman. Didn't coach him on that side of the ball, but there's a connection there. So he joined Robert Saleh, and I think I think Tevin's got a pretty good chance to be the lead back there in New York and hopefully put up some good numbers.
Yeah, well, we'll see about that. But I'm more infatuated with college football. We've got Big Ten Media Days here in 2 days. Awesome. We'll be coming live from the Lucas Oil Stadium floor. That's going to be kind of cool.
What do you think are some of the interesting storylines? What are you curious about?
Well, not knowing this season. Last season was an unknown season because of the fans. Now we're going to have fans back. Which teams that performed well last year are going to perform well this year in front of fans? Indiana's one of those question marks. They've got to go down to Iowa to start the season. You got to go to Michigan. You got to go to Penn State. Can they hold serve at home? just all the league itself, Michigan, they're not that good to me, but they've got 110,000 people in their stands every week. That helps them. That makes them be not as good, but a little bit, it gives you that extra advantage. Fans are going to make a difference, and I'm looking forward to seeing how much that actually is this year. But it's kind of like the Big Ten basketball. Other than Ohio State, I mean, you know that Iowa should be decent. You know that Wisconsin's going to be decent. I know that Indiana's going to be good.
I think Wisconsin and Iowa are going to take a step back, but I think that obviously Illinois getting Kofi back, that's big for them. And even though they lost to Sumu.
Oh, you're talking basketball.
Oh, you took basketball. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I was talking football, but
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'll tell you what. Can Indiana beat Ohio State? It's not impossible. They damn near did it. They should have done it last year on the road. No fans, but Ohio State is not going to be as strong this year as they were last year. I don't think.
Yeah,
now, that doesn't mean they're not.
Yeah.
Now that by saying not as strong means okay, they're not a national championship team. Maybe they're a national semifinal team. I don't know, but Indiana is going to be stronger.
Yeah,
better. Of course, all of this lies on the heels of Michael Penix staying healthy, but that's a possibility.
Ohio State will be breaking in a first-year quarterback, whoever it is, if it's Stroud or Miller or this freshman. But they've got some young quarterbacks, and with quarterbacks, you just never know. I mean, now they could be like if they're like Justin Fields again, then all bets are off. But, you might have a quarterback situation there where you have guys that are just kind of mediocre, and then that kind of takes down Ohio State a peg as opposed to, and then you have to maybe rely on the run game a little more. I mean, you have two really great receivers, but if you don't have a guy that can get them the ball, I mean, certainly they have talented guys, but you don't know until the bodies are flying at you what kind of decision making you're going to make in that spot. So I think losing Fields is obviously something that they're going to have to compensate for sure, and we'll see you'll see who the new guy is, whether it's Stroud or someone else, and whether that person steps in and plays the level of Fields or. But if he plays below the level of Fields, then maybe Indiana has a shot.
Well, and they'll have him at Indiana. Like I said, even though they've got a stadium that's half the size, they're going to have to try to do what they can do with that. And
Indiana's got an experienced quarterback. They've got a quarterback that started for 2 years, albeit
they've got an experienced backup quarterback for that matter.
Yeah, Tuttle. They've got some guys on this. Like I said, this is kind of like Indiana's window because they've got a lot of experienced guys throughout their roster, up and down their roster. Now they're starting to grow up a little bit. So I really think if you're going to catch Ohio State, this is kind of the year maybe to get them either this year or next year as those guys continue to. And then who knows, Micah McFadden, Tywan Mullen, what they decide after this year too. I mean, if Tywan Mullen has another great year, maybe he decides to go in the NFL draft. Getting Freifogel back, I thought was huge. I thought he was going to be gone for sure. You've got him back one more year now, and they're going to need a few more other receivers to step up. If this kid DJ, DJ Matthews is the real deal at can replace Wap's production, we'll see. But if you remember 2 years ago, everyone was so high on Wap Fillier, and he kind of took a step back. His senior year, you're hoping that Freifogel will be a guy that will build off what he did instead of taking a step back. You just never know from year to year, too. That's the other aspect of it.
Well, but they were high on I think they were high on Wap because of potential more what they thought, because he shines brighter amongst other stars.
Yeah,
but he was not the brightest.
I thought
Wap
had a really disappointing year last year, considering what he had done 2 years ago. But Freifogel kind of emerged as well and became Penix's main guy. But I thought Wap could have done more to complement Freifogel than what he did.
Well, but also, losing Penix, it was a big part of that. I mean, it was just different.
Before they lost Penix, Wap wasn't really that productive.
Well, but Wap was also never a deep threat guy. He's more of a
kind of a possession guy, but I mean, he was good on those sprint and maybe Sheridan's offense.
More of a slot slot crossing.
Yeah.
But
I thought Peyton Hendershot too was another guy. I mean, he had the 2 touchdowns against Rutgers, but he didn't really do much the rest of the season too. Like, I think that's another guy too that if you can get him back on track, and had a few drops last year, I think that's going to help the offense a lot too, because he's an all Big Ten caliber kind of guy. So maybe hopefully the light will come on for him too this year. So, and maybe the running backs again with Dylan McCullough as a new coach. Can be, more weapons and, get more of those big plays. Stevie Scott was a guy for the tackles, but you can get more of that big play home run ability from some of these running backs as well.
We got basketball going on this weekend, multiple events up in Indianapolis. So tons of action going on.
You going or no?
I guess, man. We got Big Ten Media Days Thursday and Friday. Basketball going on all weekend as well. In a couple different places, so I'll be somewhere. We're everywhere. We got to be getting that covered. Looking forward to Philip Dunham's commitment today.
Yes.
Wonder when that's going to happen.
You know where I'm going to be tomorrow, by the way?
I do not.
GAB, Great American Ballpark, Mets Reds.
Oh, what day is tomorrow? Oh yeah,
tomorrow afternoon, 12:30 first pitch. Yeah.
I hope they beat the Mets so badly while you're there. Hey, you can.
Yeah.
You want to take this with you?
Yeah, I'll bring the Reds cap. Yeah, Johnny Bench was on the broadcast last night. I don't know if you saw him. He was.
I used to have a baseball sign by Johnny Bench.
And Barry Larkin did the color too, and it's amazing the history, just the Reds, the excellence, the 70s and the.
Dude, it's crazy. The names: Ted Kluszewski from Indiana.
Yep.
How about that? Played for IU football, Big Ten championship team.
And Tucker Barnhart now from Indianapolis, starting catcher, Gold Glove catcher.
There you go, brother. I appreciate everybody for joining us. Most importantly, big thanks to Mike DeCourcy, Chronic Hoosier, Mo Creek. We'll be checking back in with him as the TBT continues. Kevin Brockway from CNHI. Absolutely. We'll be seeing Kevin again. Probably Thursday, Friday in there because we're all going to be up at the Big Ten Media Days. So we'll be getting that all done. So I hope you guys go out and have yourselves a great day. And until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
All right.